You know, there's always a constant about one thing, folks. And that it seems that no matter what the animated series or animated movie it that you see or become a fan of, or you just might glance at on occasions, there's always one constant. It seems that no matter what the franchise, guys, or what the show is, or what the movie is, it seems that no matter what, there's always one constant. And that constant is the fact that one of the majority of the time, that movie, that animated movie, or that animated show is going to have an attractive female character. And what I mean by that is, and what I mean by that is, even though a show might have several main or co-major or minor female characters or sub-major, sub-minor, whatever, female characters that'll get the spotlight here and there, or in some cases is a major part of the team or the show. Even though you might have a variety of that, you always end up having that one female character that if you're a young boy or a young man, believe it or not, yes, that is true, a young boy or a young man, that you might find yourself attracted to yourself. Now, don't get me wrong. The same as with the same as with women as well. You know, you can have an attractive an animated show or a movie can end up having a variety of male characters, but there's always that one male character that stands out as being attractive, as being very attractive, and the women, whether the young girls or young women, young adult women, that is, or even teenagers, they'll find themselves attracted to, even though that character is fictional. And again, like I said, it's the same thing with men. With young boys, young teenage men, young adult men, like myself. Well, I'm in my mid-30s, but still you kind of get the idea. There are people in their mid-30s, like myself, men and women, that are in that category as well. But like I said, there's always that one character that, despite the fact that a show might have a variety of minor or major female characters, or in the woman's side of things, a bunch of major or minor male characters, there's always that one character that sticks out to you as being attractive. That one character that you say to yourself that if they were real, or if you lived in that world, you wouldn't mind being with. You wouldn't mind having as a girlfriend, or if you're a woman, you wouldn't mind having as your boyfriend. And there's always that constant that some people ask is, why? Why do we find them attractive? Even if we're married, or we're dating somebody, or we're engaged, why do we find that attraction? I think it's one thing we can actually thank the artist, in a sense. They know that the only way, in a sense, for the male characters, not male characters, but for the young male fans to actually get invested in the show, even if they watch it or they don't, is you got to have something that's going to catch their eye. And in many cases, both male and female, you got to have that eye candy. In the case of, let's say, a certain very popular show named MLP FIM, My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, there is one character, in my opinion, that is the only reason I even pay attention to the show, or even bother to give it a glance here and there, just because of the interaction she has, not just with the other characters, but with the fact that you're giving hope of having her officially hook up with a character that might represent a lot of the young boys, young teenage males, young adult males, mid-age, mid-30 males, let's put it that way, mid-30s males. You have that one character that basically you hope to see end up with this other character who happens to be a dragon, but you hope he actually becomes more with this one character because you feel it's meant to be. And of course, I'm talking about Rarity. Now, of course, this is the Rainbow-fied plush that I've bought and collected. But still, the point is, this character is one of the reasons that myself, if not some young men my age, mid-30s or early 30s, some young adult men, 20s, late teens, and some young boys and young teenage men, one of the main reasons they actually pay attention. Not just because the stories and the characters are interesting and all that. That too is the reason. But a character like this is basically the eye candy of the show, believe it or not. Now, true, there have been many other eye candy like girl ponies, and believe it or not, from a female perspective, there have been many eye candy male ponies that have appeared. But it's always that one character, like I said, that catches your eye. It catches your eye, and if you're a young male fan, it's Rarity. I know some might say, well, what about Applejack, or what about Fluttershy, or Rainbow Dash, or Twilight Sparkle, or Candace, or Celestria, or Luna? And those are all good characters too, don't get me wrong. But to me, when I see a character like this, whether I watch the show or I don't, I give it a glance. And then I see that storyline-wise, they got her involved, possibly of getting together with a young dragon character like Spike, an established character, hello. Then it's pretty much saying, hey, here's your eye candy. Here's the reason you should tune in. Now, I know that may not make sense to some people, but like I said, it's all about that eye candy in animation. No matter who the character is, what form they're in, it's always about that eye candy. And in the case, in my opinion, in the case of MLP FIM, it's Rarity. Rarity is that eye candy that gets a lot of young boys, young teenage men, young adult men, young mid-aged men, mid-30s, early 30s men, to actually glance at the show. Why? Because she's the eye candy, she's the attractive female character that is the eye candy. I know I just repeated myself there. That will grab your attention. That'll make you go like, whoa, whoa, who is that? See what I'm saying? Another example I'll give you is 101 Dalmatians. 101 Dalmatians had a character named Two-Tone. The animated series did. And when you saw this character, she was sort of the eye candy of the group. She was. She was the eye candy of the group. And even though she didn't make many appearances, like, a lot of people would hope she did, anytime you saw her, believe it or not, you would take a second glance and go, whoa, there's Two-Tone. Same with a show like Bonkers. When you would see Fondue for the first time, that was the eye candy that attracted you. I mean, heck, when they did the Raw Tunage episode where Bonkers was hosting as a delivery boy, or delivery tune, delivering a TV to Fonz, as he's scanning his store for potential customers, he passes by Fawn, and almost simultaneously, as soon as he zips back to Fawn, zips his attention back to Fawn, almost simultaneously, a young male will do the same thing. I'm not going to lie here. I've done it myself. And again, it's all about eye candy. And like I said, the same could be said for the female perspective. If they see that out of all male characters, out of all the male characters, major or minor or whatever, if they see that one character, that one attractive male character just make an appearance, make a debut, they're going to, boom, have their eye set on that character. They are. They're going to have their eye set on that character. And it's the truth. Even in live action sometime, and most time it happens. I mean, why do you think in live, it happens. And why do you think women just go crazy when an attractive actor comes out the way he does? Huh? Why do you think that? Because he's that eye candy they want. Why do you think why do you think men like me, young or mid-age, or teenagers, why do you think we, when we watch, let's say, WWE, and yes we do, or TNA, always look forward sometimes to certain matches involving the knockouts of the divas, past or present? Because they are eye candy. They are certain eye candy you want to see. And whether you like the Bellas or not, they're pretty much the eye candy that some men can't get enough of. Same with Naomi. You take a look at TNA, you got Angelina Love, and heck, at the time you had Velvet Sky, who might end up in WWE soon. You had all these women that were eye candy. Even in television, even in movies, you have women that are eye candy. And that's hard to say. That really is. I take a look at someone like Halle Berry, and whether anybody wants to admit it or not, she is, when I first saw her in a major role, which was, believe it or not, The Flintstones, holy smokes, there was eye candy right there. Have her take on the role of Catwoman in the ill-fated Catwoman movie, which I thought was okay. Holy smokes, there's eye candy there. Take a look at the singing-wise, music-wise. People like Beyonce. To people like me, she's eye candy. Same with Mariah Carey. And take a look at it from the female perspective. You got all these boy bands that are out there, all these individual young male singers or whatever. And to them, those boy bands or boy groups or those individual male singers are eye candy. That's what they are. I mean, let's take an example. Let's take a look at an incident a few years ago, for example. Okay? A few years ago, everybody knows about this. You can even Google it. When it was revealed that Selena Gomez and Justin Bieber were an item, you had a lot of young girls. Either they were young preteen girls or young mid-teen girls or young early teen girls or young late teen girls or whatever. You had certain young fans writing, tweeting, Facebooking, emailing threats to Selena Gomez to stay away from Justin. Why? Because Justin was their eye candy. Justin was their main eye candy. And they didn't want nobody around him except for themselves. And that's the truth. They didn't want Selena around him and having happiness and trying to have some kind of a normal life if it wasn't them. If it wasn't one girl, let's say on her, her iPod or something like that, putting out that tweet or putting out that Facebook message or whatever, if it wasn't her next to Justin, she didn't want Selena next to her. That's the kind of eye candy he was. The fact that these young girls at the time a few years ago didn't want nobody, no Selena, no other young maybe established female artist or actress around Justin if it wasn't them. Yeah. And that's from a female perspective, which is why you can kind of understand why I'm doing this video. Basically, it's all about eye candy, and that is why you have a lot of male fans tuning in sometimes to something like MLP. It's not just because of the stories and the characters and everything like that. It's all that too, but it's characters like Rarity that are basically the eye candy of the show. They're the eye candy, And sometimes it also gives them something to cheer for when you have Spike who's doing whatever he can to finally get Rarity to, go steady with him. If you catch my drift, to finally get her to go steady with him. And it's like, if that doesn't give you something to cheer for, I don't know what else does. Now, another piece of eye candy, believe it or not, in the eyes of many fans, is a character that is still looked upon as eye candy to a lot of young male fans, and somewhat female fans if you go that way. But it's still looked upon as eye candy despite the rebooted design or redesign and all that. And of course I'm talking about Sally. I mean, here's a character that, believe it or not, according to Nostalgia Critic, was the face that launched 1,000 furries. Basically, she was the eye candy of Sat AM that you would watch, and it was one of the reasons, as a fan, you would tune in and want to watch the series. Because of her. Now, others might say, well, what about Bunny Rabbit? Bunny, too, was eye candy, believe it or not. Some might even say they found Bunny more attractive than Sally, and that could be pretty much true. But it's because of characters like Sally, and remember, when this show came out, I was like 14, 15 years old. She was one of the reasons, as a fan, that I would tune in. And it wasn't because of the fact that at the time that I thought she was attractive, but looking at all the internets and how people just talk about her, how the heck people draw her sometimes, on places like DeviantArt and so forth, it kind of gives you an idea that, yeah, a lot of people looked at her as eye candy. Whether they were young males, like myself at the time, or young females that kind of went that way, or they didn't, or kind of understood that maybe this is why young males do tune into it, because they see her as eye candy. Again, you can go to someone like Bunny Rabbit as well and say, hey, she's eye candy. Of course she is. She's eye candy in various ways. There's no doubt about it. She's got the looks, she's got the strength, she's got the sweet southern charm. Sally is eye candy, and not just the looks and all that as well, but in the smarts, arts, and the leadership that she has. And that's what makes her attractive. You might go back. Now, I know you're probably asking, well, what about Rarity? What makes her so attractive? What makes her the eye candy? What, just because she's beautiful and attractive, she's got the looks? Well, that too, but also the fact that she has a sweet disposition. She's got a sweet personality. She's willing to do whatever she has to help her friends. And if you take a look at the episode where Spike, finally, in a way, as they're falling almost to the doom, in the Secret of My Excess, or whatever it's called, when he tries to tell her, she kind of closes him with a paw, kind of like with a one-finger deal, with tears in her eyes, acknowledging that she knows. But yet, again, that's that's something that makes her the eye candy that she is. Not just the looks and all that, but it's the fact that because of the personality she has. She's generous, she's helpful, and she's understanding. She really is. And again, it's another reason to be a fan of hers. Because of the fact you're cheering for the day that the people behind the show do an episode where they officially put her and Spike together. That's another reason. But it's not just Rarity and Sally either. There's characters like Elsa from Frozen. Holy smokes. I know Disney knows how to create beautiful and attractive females. And as beautiful and as attractive as Anna is in the movie, as beautiful and as attractive as Anna is, Elsa is, I hate to say it, more attractive. Even before she got that established look that she has, holy smokes. It's like, yikes. I mean, this